if A, B, C and D are real numbers and I is a imaginary unit, it is given that the product of these two complex numbers A plus Bi and C plus Di is a real number. So which of the following statements must be true? So it is basically trying to ask us some relationship between the real numbers if the product of the two numbers, complex numbers, is real. So for this, let us simply try to multiply and see what happens. So A plus Bi times C plus Di. Remember that even for imaginary or complex numbers, we simply treat them like terms and multiply them together. So we multiply A times C and A times Di to get AC plus AD times I, and we multiply these two terms to give us BCI and BD I square. Let us collect these terms together. Let us write them as BD I square and group the terms with I like this. Now we should recall that I in a complex number by definition means square root of minus 1. So I square is simply squaring both sides is minus 1. So this is a very common identity, and we replace I square here to get minus BD, and we leave these terms as is. Now the condition is this whole thing is a real number. So in order to get real number, we should understand that this is known as the real part of a complex number and this is the imaginary part. In order for this to be real, we need to have the imaginary part 0, so it should disappear. So how can we make it disappear is we simply set AD plus BC should be equal to 0. If we make this 0, then the imaginary part disappears and we are left with the real part. So therefore the condition is pretty obvious. We get AD plus BC equal to 0, and when we see the options here, we see option D is correct. The remaining all are incorrect. Either the coefficients are juggled up. So what do we take from here is that sometimes the questions are simply worded in a way where you have to work with abstract quantities because there are variables like A, B, C, D, but essentially if you know your product of numbers and if you know how to multiply them and carefully work out the fact that I square is minus 1, you would be able to arrive at the result pretty quickly. So there's nothing hard about this problem. It is just about the way they provide the information to you so that you understand when to make things real or when to make them only complex and use your techniques to analyze the information.